in Los Angeles, part of America. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Fox Sports Radio, iHeartRadio, FS1. Just got a bug bite in my eye. Joy Taylor is the devil today. Very impressive.
Some would say every day. But.
So Matthew McConaughey is going to be joining us in 30 minutes.
Yes, I'm very excited.
He's out with a new memoir. It's a journal, that it's a memoir. He won an Academy Award for a Dallas Buyers Club. We were just talking about this. He literally lost like 60 pounds and was emaciated for like a year and a half. Because I saw him like months later, and I'm like, oh, he hasn't put it back on. And it'd be one thing if you look like me and are goofy looking, and then I just got skinny for a role, it wouldn't change, right? But if you're good looking and then suddenly become not good looking, that's difficult. That's a sacrifice. That's a true actor.
I mean, it's gaining or losing that much weight for a role is really hard to do.
I can lose a lot of weight fast. I don't think I could gain 50 pounds. I don't think I could do it.
I could easily gain
I'm too vain. Really? I'm too vain.
I mean, 50, like that 50 would be hard. But the thing is the amount of time that they have to do it in. It just takes a lot of discipline, especially if you're like used to maintaining a certain
Well, yeah, Matthew McConaughey's his dad got drafted in the NFL. He's a jock. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
To say, hey, let your body go.
It's like when Charlize Theron, we were just talking about when Charlize Theron gained all that weight from Monster. I could only watch that movie once. I couldn't.
Yeah, I'm into serial killers, and it was a hard watch. She was great, but it was a hard watch.
She won an Oscar for that, didn't she?
Yeah, I think she did, yeah. So he stops by in 30 minutes. Okay, the undefeated Steelers take on the Ravens. It's the matchup of the weekend. 25th career matchup between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. And it got me thinking about another team in the AFC North. Most people that aren't very good know it and keep quiet. And people that are good are a little cocky and feel themselves. You understand it. The great players know they're great. The great franchises know they're great. They've got a little bit of arrogance. It's institutional. I get it. But usually the people that are bad historically know it. So this weekend, the Steelers face the Baltimore Ravens. These are great organizations. Let me give you some numbers that are fascinating. In the last 20 years, 2 decades, good round number, the Steelers and the Ravens, in just the AFC North, have combined for 4 Super Bowl wins, 30 playoff wins. That's unbelievable. And 15 division titles. That's incredible. Do you know what the Cleveland Browns have done with those 3 boxes? 0, 0, and 0. But the Cleveland Browns are constantly upset that people diss them and laugh at them and roll our eyes and mock them and don't give them the respect they so richly deserve. Cleveland is the most over-discussed team in professional sports, the most over-discussed lousy team. We don't talk about the Lions on this show. We don't talk about the Jags. We don't talk about the Bengals much on this show. What about the Dallas Cowboys, Colin? Well, they have a rich history. They have 5 Super Bowls. They have some of the best players in league history have been Dallas Cowboys. They also, in the last decade, just the last decade, they've won their division 3 times. They have playoff wins. In the last 2 decades, Cleveland has the worst winning percentage in the entire sport. And they're constantly upset that we don't give them more press, more respect, more talk. Last week, they barely beat the Bengals. Had to come from behind 3 times in the 4th quarter. And I said, you know, it's impressive. Actually, Joe Burrow's working with nothing. He's a rookie quarterback, no preseason. What about us? What about you? You're the Bengals. You're the Browns, excuse me. In the last 20 years, the Steelers have had 2 head coaches. The Ravens have had 2 head coaches. The Browns have had 12. I mean, it's incredible. It's like the Browns have become like the reality show of the NFL. You know those reality shows? Like couples and families that have their act together never go on those shows. It's just Famous Losers. But you do kind of stick around because it's fun to watch them disintegrate and argue over dumb stuff that sometimes semi-famous losers do. And it's amazing with Cleveland. This weekend, Baltimore is going to play Pittsburgh. And it's just going to be Super Bowl relevance. They're both in the Super Bowl bubble. It's going to be legendary Hall of Fame coaches. It's going to be great quarterback play. It's going to be historic fan bases. It's going to be Pro Bowlers on both sides. And yet, Monday, when the Browns, probably beat the Raiders, they will wonder why we roll our eyes at it. Because 2 weeks ago you played the Steelers and got housed, and 7 weeks ago you played the Ravens and got housed. I always wonder, like I know Brown fans think of the Steelers and the Ravens often. Do the Steelers and Ravens, do they ever just look at the Cleveland Browns and just laugh? They have to. They'd have to just laugh at the Cleveland Browns. Because the Cleveland Browns are rare. They're pathetic and they have a swagger. They're awful and they put their chest out. And I've got to be honest with you, it's kind of fascinating. I mean, the Lions are bad and know it. Jags are bad, rebuilding, know it. Cincinnati's bad, rebuilding, they're not cocky. Cleveland's, the Chicago Cubs were losers, but they were lovable. The Browns are obnoxious, righteous, cocky, and historically the biggest joke in the league. So I cannot wait to watch the Steelers-Ravens this weekend, but I'm going to keep my eye on the Raiders and Browns because I know if the Browns win, they're going to demand respect Monday, just like they did for beating the Bengals barely last weekend. So, we've said before, there are good losses and bad wins. That happens all the time in sports. Fans, of course, don't want to hear that. I understand that. And for fans mostly, you win, it's good. You lose, it's bad. But last night was what I would call a really, really bad win for the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have become the Detroit Lions. They're 2-6. Detroit's 3-3. But they've got really competent quarterbacks. So they're too competent to get a top 5 draft pick. Detroit's going to end up winning 4 or 5 more games. Atlanta's going to win 3 or 4 more games, and they're not going to get a top 10 pick, and they're going to stick with their quarterbacks. It's called NFL quicksand. See, New England's figured it out. Be great as long as you can. Then when you're bad, tell your players to opt out, trade players, be awful, get a great quarterback out of college, reboot, and be great again. That's what New England will do. Atlanta is in quicksand. They're too competent. Matt Ryan's just too competent at quarterback to win just 2 games. I mean, Matt Ryan this year completes 67% of his throws, 98 quarterback rating, 12 touchdowns, 4 picks. They're 2-6, and let's be honest about it, they should be 5-3. 3 times they've led a game with 2 minutes or less. They're just too. Matt Stafford is too competent. Matt Ryan is too competent. That they're going to win a bunch of games. Atlanta's going to win 3 or 4 more games. Detroit's going to win 4 or 5 more games. You're going to look up, and you're going to have the 12th pick or the 15th pick, and you're going to get a cornerback from Virginia Tech or an offensive tackle from Oklahoma, and it won't change anything at all. And here's the problem with a Detroit and with an Atlanta. You don't have a top 5 or 6 great quarterback, but you've got certainly a top 12 quarterback, so they're competent. And you're locked into their contract, so it makes your job even less desirable. I mean, the Jets' job, if you have the number 1 pick and all those picks, could actually be very attractive. I could get Trevor Lawrence and 15 picks over the next, year and a half, 2 years. That's kind of attractive. So I watched Atlanta win last night, and I'm like, this is just quicksand. What would I do? What would I do if I was Atlanta? I'd trade everybody by the trading deadline Tuesday. I'd trade everybody I could, including Matt Ryan, and I'd start over. I'd lose the rest of my games. They're 2-6. I would go 2-14. That's what I would do. And then I would have a top 3 pick. I'd get another quarterback. By the way, if I trade Matt Ryan, I'm going to get 2 or 3 good picks. I would just start over. In the NFL, you want to be really good, top 5 or 6 team, or a bottom 7 or 8 team, and be horrible. In fact, even a bottom 5 team. So Atlanta's going to be in quicksand. Detroit's going to be in quicksand. They're going to get a 15th, 18th pick. And by the way, Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford are both still good enough to win a bunch of games in the NFL. They just need, the right spot. You put Matt Ryan in Indianapolis with the Colts, or you put Matt Stafford in Indianapolis with the Colts and that front office and that coach and that offensive line. Those are playoff teams. But I'm watching Atlanta last night, and I'm like, this is a terrible win. You're in quicksand. You're just too darn good at quarterback to not win 5 games. That means you don't get the quarterbacks. That means you're not going to get Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Trevor Lawrence. I would sell everything. Everything must go. Liquidation sale. Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, take what I can, lose them all, and start over. That's what I would do. Because I look right now, and I look at the NFL, and you got to beat Patrick Mahomes and Big Ben and Lamar Jackson. Tom Brady's team is loaded. I mean, you look around the NFL, who do you have to be? Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan, McVay and Goff. That's what you got to beat to win a Super Bowl right now. Atlanta, I'd start over.
Matthew McConaughey around the corner. Looking forward to that. Push yourself to the edge. Go beyond. Seek discomfort. No pain, no gain. All are true, just not in your pants. It's time to get comfortable, actually, With Tommy John underwear, from working hard to playing hard. When you start every morning in Tommy John, you're much more comfortable, can do everything a little better. Tommy John doesn't have customers, they have converts. Dozens of comfortable innovations. Once you've tried them, you don't go back. Breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric, 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Moves with you, not against you. Best pair you'll ever wear, it's free guarantee. There's no risk. In fact, if you try them and don't love them, they're free. Right now, they're doing something they rarely do. 15% off site-wide. How about that? How? TommyJohn.com/herd. Go there. TommyJohn.com/HERD. Comes with a no rolling waistband for the perfect fit.